Leaders are like generals of the army. They can only succeed with the loyalty of their troops. If your troops don't trust you, neither will they be loyal to you. Coming up. weSizwe Walsh of SMWX podcast invited Floyd Shivambu over for an interview. Floyd Shivambu dropped a lot of bombs in that interview, some of which infuriated a lot of EFF members. Check this out.
I conceptualized the economic freedom fighters, the name, the references of commissars, commander-in-chief, the 7 cardinal pillars, the founding manifesto. Majority of the leaders of the economic freedom fighters knew that I'm going to join uMkhonto weSizwe party. Sometimes this so-called brotherhood, it's not brotherhood, it borders on gangsterism. If this government of neoliberal unity persists for a longer period of time, there will be very thin line between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance. There will be one thing.
Mr. Floyd Shivambu, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting us to this very important platform, and well done for having pushed this platform this far.
Maybe let's start with the choice to leave, and can you take us inside that decision and what brought you to that important point?
Now, look, I think that uMkhonto weSizwe party is the most important political party in South Africa's politics now. And it needed to take the direction and the shape that it's taking now. And upon realizing that there's been so many external attempts to destabilize it, then decided that we perhaps should play a role because we've got the experience and the necessary temperament to could manage turbulent circumstances within an organization. And of course, that is due to the exposure to national leadership for a very long time now. I was saying to some of the leaders of uMkhonto weSizwe party that I'm 41 years old now, but I've been in national leadership structures for more than 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, in terms of how I got to deal with so many issues. So uMkhonto weSizwe party is a very important party, and we had to participate in it voluntarily. And I had to take a very bold and sound, possibly best decision to leave the economic freedom fighters, which I played a central role in founding, in terms of how it got to be constructed. It's not a secret that I conceptualized the economic freedom fighters, the name, the references of commissars, commander-in-chief, the 7 cardinal pillars, the founding manifesto, and all its key documents, including the documents which are constituting the Third National People's Assembly. I see the core and main document is the document which in my resignation letter I said should guide the organization on organizational redesign. So it's one of those things that had to be done.
Well, in my point of view, there is nothing wrong about what he just said right now, because it's him and the CIC. They started EFF, right? Okay, so there is nothing wrong about him stating what exactly or what role did he play exactly on the EFF. I wouldn't really be angered by that.
And then, of course, the worrying issue which you would observe from far, so in the manner in which the parliamentary caucus of uMkhonto weSizwe and the organization, you would see that there's extremely brilliant comrades within uMkhonto weSizwe party, at all levels. In terms of parliamentary caucus, uMkhonto weSizwe has got the best caucus, as compared to all other caucuses. So the skill set that you find in uMkhonto weSizwe is qualitatively much superior than what you would find in the ANC, than what you would find in the EFF, than what you would find in the DA. And the DA is a team of illiterates. But uMkhonto weSizwe, it's people whom, if you were to say take government tomorrow, they will run government efficiently And without confusion, they're not going to learn as to how government must be run efficiently, responsibly, and in a manner that will impact on the lives of our people much more most positively. I'm convinced that this is the correct path and the correct decision that has ever been taken in the history of politics. I'm taking it to a different perspective now. Yeah.
In that decision, I'm assuming you are balancing, the harm it might do to the EFF versus the gains that it could do overall to this project of unity and also to MK. Take us through that balance that you were striking, because obviously...
Look, there's good comrades in the EFF who could play a far much more meaningful role in everything. Some of them are very scared. I don't know why they're scared to be expressive and to speak as to what should be the direction of the organization. I heard some of the comrades were saying they were shocked that I went to uMkhonto. Majority of the leaders of the economic freedom fighters knew that I'm going to join uMkhonto as a party.
Now, that's the statement right there that drove EFF members off the wall. That all along, EFF leaders knew that Shivambu was leaving. None of them breathed a word to Malema. Talk about disloyalty. That's disloyalty in its best. But again, I cannot entirely blame the top six, the EFF top six, about being disloyal to Malema. Because that disloyalty means one thing. It means that this whole top six don't trust Malema. Distrust gives birth or breathes disloyalty. If you don't treat your people well, if people won't be able to trust you with their lives, obviously disloyalty will creep in.
Even in the officials, like some obviously they came to beg me and say, no, please don't tell the president. The president did not know, and I did not see the need to talk to him about it. I canvassed the perspective with everyone else. And then when I later on communicated the decision, then they said, please don't tell him that we knew throughout that you're going to take this progressive decision so that he doesn't look at us with doubt.
Yo, this is bad. That is so nasty. These guys, these EFF leaders threw Malema under the bus. They just throw him under the bus head first. That means all along these guys were there now for just their own selfish reasons. To say, no, please, Floyd, don't tell him that we know or we knew all along that you were leaving, please. Yeah. Let the sleeping dog sleep. And I repeat, I'm not surprised, guys, because this is the bed that Malema has made. Now he must lie on it. Remember how he treated his leaders with disrespect? Remember, all of them, when they left EFF, they were complaining, or those who left the EFF, they were complaining about his dictatorship. Again, you remember when some of them suggested that EFF should join GNU? And Malema said, hey, we are not going there. We are not joining GNU as long as DA is still there. That's disrespectful. If you don't listen to your leaders who are leading with you, that's disrespect. You're disrespecting them. It simply means you don't trust their judgment. They've got no say. So they feel useless. And no wonder why they didn't honor him with loyalty.
And then I said, okay, that's fine. I won't tell him that. If you feel telling him like that in the future, you will be able to tell him. And some of them even went to pretend to be crying in the meeting of the Central Command team that, no, we did not know. Hey, we were shocked and all of those other things there.
That got me right there. You see what I mean? Yeah, it is bad. Now, the real Malema's challenge now is he doesn't know who are those people exactly. That means he's sitting with so many Judas, here on the table. He doesn't know who are those guys exactly. Because I believe if he knew, he would have dismissed them long time. He wouldn't have wasted time. But now you are sitting with a team, your team, you don't know who really threw you under the bus. That is a very difficult position to be in.
So it was a properly canvassed view. It was not a view that I just woke up and everyone else is shocked. It was a properly canvassed perspective that as part of consolidating the revolutionary agenda, we need to take this decision to join uMkhonto weSizwe party. And there are those, of course, who had said, let's go all of us if you're going. Then I said, I don't think that is a wise decision. You can participate like in EFF and everything else there. But if you decide to join uMkhonto weSizwe, it must not appear as if I am responsible for a mass exodus from the EFF. I'm joining individually. Those who join later on because they're convinced about the politics of uMkhonto weSizwe, they will do so by themselves individually. That approach of joining as a group and everything else is not sustainable. It's not disciplined. It's not a proper organizational and political culture. So that is what I had said, that those of you who want to join, you can join whatever time you want to join and will not stop you from doing so. If according to your own political views, you think that you should now join uMkhonto weSizwe party. That is why those who join, we welcome them to join from the EFF, from the ANC, from all these other political parties.
Do you expect more to join?
I don't expect more. So, in uMkhonto weSizwe party, in the organization, there is a saying that Azbabis bayazizela, that we don't call them, they come by themselves.
This was a very personal decision as well, because you had built the EFF. I remember meeting you in the early days of the EFF and seeing how much you were sacrificing just for the party. People don't know the personal sacrifices that leaders went through, and you built important friendships and brotherhoods, and so just for the record, in terms of the personal aspect with Julius Malema, where does that sit now?
I think so if you were to go to the interview that we did in the when I was still in the EFF, and then you asked me the question, what is the relationship with the president of the EFF? I said this political relationship, actually made an emphasis on, it's a political relationship that we had. And of course, because we work in the same spaces, we'll end up doing so many things together. If there's a family gathering, you'll get to know and then support each other and all of those things there. But the relationship was political relationship.
Whoa. Wait, Shivambu. But guys, you'll remember, Shivambu did refer to Malema as his brother. He did say that we are so close, we are like brothers. You remember this?
There will never be a time that the EFF will be divided because of my differences with the Commander-in-Chief. We have been working together. I was thinking that for 15 solid years, like literally getting to interact every day for the past 15 years since we started working together politically. So we've been together and we'll be together forever. We represent a generational mission which will never be distracted by anything. And more than being political partners in terms of the political work, we are brothers. It's like as if we are blood brothers.
I think that brotherhood was interpreted differently by each one of them. Shivambu might have just said, okay, we are closer like brothers, but if you break the principles or if you violate the principles that have brought us as brothers, then I'm out of this. Then on the other side, Malema was saying, you are my brother. That means even if I mess up or even if I violate values and principles, I expect you to be in my corner. That's why on the day when Shivambu left, Malema turned to his leaders that, why are you guys not backing me up? You can see that Shivambu left. You guys are not saying anything. That means, according to Malema, he still wanted the whole world to back him up he still wanted his leaders, the Museni Ndlozis, to back him up against Shivambu, which is his interpretation of brotherhood.
But the relationship was political relationship, and
That's interesting.
that is how it is. And I have no bad feelings about anyone. Like generally, leave the people that I work with. Generally, I don't have any personal feelings against anyone. I still talk to some of the comrades in the EFF, except those who feel like they might be doubted for having engagements with me. I generally don't have problems with anyone, but I'm able to distinguish that there's a political relationship and like so-called brotherhood and everything else. Because sometimes this so-called brotherhood, it's not brotherhood. It borders on gangsterism, a gangster relationship that we're together. If a person is wrong, we can't call each other to order. Like you defend each other even when a person is doing wrong things, is now venturing into wrong politics of being boastful and doing wrong things in public and everything else, and disrespecting people, and then you don't say anything because of brotherhood. You must be able to call out certain things that this is unacceptable and everything else. And if you realize that, so those things of the personal relationship can't override a political principle in the relations with everyone. So if a comrade misbehaves or does things which you realize that this is wrong, you must be able to call each other to order. Like it's not gangster relationship where you say we'll die together. It doesn't work like that. And by the way, this characterization, I used to say this when we were in the National Executive Committee of the ANC Youth League. So you know, Pulemabe was the Treasurer General of the ANC Youth League. So I used to say to the president of the ANC Youth League, now current president of the EFF, that me and you are going to be buried next to each other. Wow. All the time. And then later on he went to engage in other activities, like to collaborate with those who were dealing with him. Now I used to say that I'll never say that. I'll never. Like if it's a political relationship, like you can't promise to die next to each other in a political relationship. It's based on principle.
Sure.
If principle shifts, then we no longer relate the same way that we related before.
I totally agree with this guy. That's my man right there. I totally agree with Floyd. Principle must guide our relationship. Values and our principles. Values must guide our friendship. Not that I should support you even if you are wrong. Just because you're my brother. I call Malema. It doesn't work like that. It shouldn't work like that.
So if you realize that there's certain areas of just divergence from what should define a revolutionary, you must be able to say, but this is not what I signed up for. This is not the character which I thought we're dealing with. And I'm not talking about the contextual relationship now with the president of the EFF. I'm talking generally in politics that we should relate to each other on political principles so that we're able to correct each other whenever something goes wrong. Yeah.
And if you're to ask me personally, I totally agree with Floyd that it doesn't matter how close we are, it doesn't matter how much of brother we are on each other, but the leadership friendship should be based on principles. What brings us together are principles. Once each one of us violates those principles, then I'm out. And of course, looking at Malema's dictatorship, Floyd wouldn't have agreed with that.
Because like you can't, for instance, be a senior leader of a political party, like at ANC level, and then your characterization of another political party, black political party, which has got upward of 2.5 million, and say, that is Zuma's Stokvel. And loosely like that. Like the disrespect that you show to the people, like you, and then all sorts of slander that is being utilized. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anyone. It's possibly maybe part of the reasons why some of these parties are losing electoral relevance is because of the manner in which you characterize the politics is conclusively wrong. So we need a different conjecture and discourse of politics which are defined by maturity and discussion of principle. What is our common agenda? Who do we interest? What are the interests of the people? How do we commonly pursue them in terms of what is required? Not these subjective issues and everything else. Like it's tiring. It's actually disheartening. I would encourage everyone who is like to speak against as such. And you know what is even a much more tragic situation? You find these youth and student activists, right? They think it's revolutionary to throw insults at people, like take a platform, say so and so is this, so and so is that, like, and talking about body parts of people. This person has got a big head, this one has got a big nose.
Fellow fighters, Ramaphosa is a criminal. Ramaphosa is a money launderer. Ramaphosa has got a big nose. It's not an insult.
This one doesn't work properly. Like it's
Yeah.
Comrades, ona le monna o mongwe wa tsotsi wa pretenda o ka re ke president ya South Africa. Mara ntwe ke tsotsi ya nkwe kgolo.
Where is Marxism in that? Where's Lenin in that? Like, no, Lenin was the most robust of like revolutionary leaders. He would characterize the politics of his opponents. Nowhere in his characterization of any one of his opponents, even the worst of opponents, did he describe their physical appearance. Like it's one of the things which, as a generation, we have to suppress and isolate much more firmly so that we have a proper matured politics that must define everyone else in terms of how it got to happen. And of course, from time to time, people get trapped into those things, but it has to be outdone with. We have to outgrow such kind of wrong politics.
I personally and totally agree with Floyd in so many things. What do you think? Let me hear your comment below and don't forget to subscribe.